I just need to talk about Death Stranding, right? So I just played it for the first time, the first Death Stranding. Um, Everyone sort of wrote it off as a walking simulator. I didn't really look too much into it. I said, it doesn't seem like my type of thing. And then I started seeing clips of the second game that just released, and I thought it looked kind of fun, kind of funny. There's lots of goofy moments. It's kind of like what I remember when I was younger playing video games, and sort of similar experiences to what they maybe used to be like. And so I picked it up. It was on the Steam sale. I think it was like 15 bucks. What a steal. And I mean, immediately I was really confused, but I was drawn in, and I thought it was just so hilarious how you could take something as simple as traversing the terrain and make it so interesting. Like, in terms of the balancing and the management of your goods that you're taking to all these different distribution centers and cities, and how you can somehow make it so every individual rock somehow becomes important, and you have to really think about how you're traveling around the world, whether it be through just your feet, vehicles, motorcycles. Each vehicle plays differently, and they can handle different terrains. Otherwise, using other random tools such as climbing anchors, which work backwards too, by the way, which I thought was hilarious. But ladders, everything was just really, really fun. Like, you were just kind of given complete agency to figure it out and make your way through this dangerous world filled with evil, assumedly evil entities called beach things, and go about your way. And the story initially didn't really grab me all that much. I didn't really understand what was happening. I was like, okay, well, the rain ages you if you touch it. There's evil spirits who want to just give me a bunch of touches and pull me into this weird swamp. And then they're going to summon a city that floats. I don't know, like that was just crazy, but in a good way. It was a very fun and interesting thing right off the bat. And I mean, of course, a good chunk of the game is just delivering stuff, but if you just boil Death Stranding down to just delivering stuff, it's very disingenuous. I think people writing this off, I don't know if it was a joke or not, but writing it off as just a walking simulator is just not doing it any service, no justice. And this, I think, has turned into one of my favorite games of all time. Currently, at the moment in my life, I played thousands and thousands of games in my near 30 years of life, and so far, I like Cyberpunk the most. I love the city. I think the visuals are amazing. The story was great. It gave me some emotional stuff, but this game did a very good job of that as well. Granted, that didn't come until the very end of the game, and they ended up cramming so much into this experience that is Death Stranding. So I hit chapter 3, right? I think it's like right after you meet the main antagonist, or Higgs, and you're learning about everything going on. You're making your way to the second map, and I spent a good 30 hours just rebuilding the roads there. I was having a lot of fun just clearing the mule encampments and getting all the people to 5 stars. I thought that was just really fun. I spent so much time there. I kind of forgot what I was doing. And then finally I hit 5 stars with everybody in the second map. And I said, okay, fine, I'll go and do the main quest. I unlocked the zip lines. I made a crazy zip line network through the mountains all the way up to the northern part of the second map, and it was so awesome. The mountain felt so different from everything else. It was definitely harder to get around. Everything felt like it was just a treacherous adventure, and I loved every second of it. I did kind of glaze over the very, like, I guess from the mountain onward, I didn't get all those to 5 stars. I am going to go back now. But I was like, okay, well, this is a little tougher than before. I'm just kind of trying to chill. And then all of a sudden the story really ramps up. And I don't know if that's just because I spent 30 hours, building up the second zone, hoping to make it easier for people, farming likes. I love getting the likes and seeing that people use the stuff I built. That made me feel real giddy. And that's another thing too. I think the biggest thing for me is how it's sort of the single player yet multiplayer experience where everyone in your pool of your bridges network is working together while never actually seeing each other. And I thought that was so wholesome. Some people on Reddit I've read posts saying that they don't like the signs where you drive or walk past them and it says like keep on keeping on. They think it's annoying, but I actually found that very wholesome. Like maybe they're just farming likes or whatever, but I thought that was a really it felt like I was part of a community without having to participate in a community, if that makes sense. Which for me in particular is like exactly how I would want to partake in any sort of social gathering. I'd rather be on the sidelines as like a support character. But I feel like I was also contributing to something bigger than myself, and everything I did felt like it had purpose, and I felt so good when I rebuilt like almost the entire highway system. Like a good chunk of that 30 hours in the second zone, yes, I was getting the 5 stars, picking up stuff, but I was building up that highway and putting up just, generators, timefall shelters, everything, and I got to see that people were actually using it. And I would deliver everyone's lost packages and stuff too, of course, trying to get the 5 stars, and I think that's the most beautiful thing of Death Stranding in particular. But the story, once you get it's weird. It kind of ramps up at the very end and almost ends up as a movie. I'm pretty sure it was like 2 hours of cutscenes or something. But I was so absorbed in the moment of everything going on and all the lore dumping going on, and then all of a sudden you're just in like it feels like you're in Dark Souls, and then at one point there's like you're fighting one of the main bosses, and it's a fighting game, and then at other times it's a like Call of Duty shooter. And it just has all this stuff happening, and it somehow works. It works so well. And I'll admit I cried a little bit at the very end. I had some emotional reaction to the story, and I thought it was initially not super engaging story wise, but the game was engaging enough to where I ended up getting engaged with the story after the fact. But now that I'm done, you get to sort of continue playing after you're done with the game and just sort of go back to delivering stuff, which is what I'm doing. I'm going to 5-star everybody. I want to get all the memory chips. And even in that after, post-campaign gameplay, there's so much stuff you can do, and it's not boring. It doesn't feel like I have to. This is kind of the game I want to play when I'm coming home from work and I need to unwind a little bit. And the only thing that I can say negatively about it really is that I'm sad that Death Stranding 2 isn't coming to PC anytime soon, because I really want to sit in a hot spring and sing with Dollman. I want to continue Sam's journey. I guess you're in Australia or something. I've seen some really funny clips out there, so I can't wait for it to come out on PC. But if you haven't played it and you think it's just a walking simulator, again, I'm not sure how, true those statements are or how much those people believe it, but I definitely saw those comments and it made me think that I wasn't going to play the game. It's honestly, people throw this around a lot, but I'd say Death Stranding is peak. It is one of the best modern games out there, and in terms of a AAA game, I mean, there's not many AAA games that sort of deliver an experience like this. And I would highly recommend it, especially if you... It's almost a cozy game. There's moments that aren't very cozy. There's some intense moments. But, it's... Altogether, it's a cozy game. You build stuff, you deliver stuff, you build up your stars, you get the little star tag on your pants, and it's just... Oh, it's gotta be either tied for first or second place for me of all time. Of all the games I've played. Absolutely. And it's funny, this is actually my first Hideo Kojima game. I never played the Metal Gear series. I'm not super familiar with anything else Hideo Kojima's done. But this game has made me a very, very big fan of him. And I think of any modern developer, team-wise or writing-wise. I'm not sure like how that is allocated, but I think Hideo Kojima is like one of the few developers out there that actually knows what makes a good game. Like, he took something so mundane as walking across the land, and it could have just been like, you know, I'm thinking Ubisoft approach, I guess. Although, you know, I think Ubisoft gets the games themselves from Ubisoft, I think, get too much flack. I mean, I'm not the biggest Ubisoft fan, but I don't absolutely hate their stuff. But they could have just had like a big open field for the whole map, maybe a mountain, and then you could have just walked back and forth all game. But that's not fun. It's the fact that there's rocks, little pebbles, somehow become this thing that you have to work around, or you can try to make it easier for both yourself and your network. And, you know, maybe you build a bridge over a field that has like way too much rockfall, and there's just like splintered pebbles and boulders all over the field there, and you don't want to have to worry about it on your bike, so you build a nice big bridge and everyone gets to do it. They give you a little like, I don't know, there's just it makes you feel fuzzy inside. It makes you feel like everything you're doing actually matters. When, I mean, it's a video game. It doesn't actually matter that much, especially in a single player game. But being able to feel that it is, I think, is one of the most important things with games, because there's so many shallow games out there, and I could talk about that in another video probably, about how a lot of games feel like they don't have soul. But I'll tell you this, Death Stranding absolutely is filled with soul. And today well, maybe not even today after beating the game, I became a fan of Hideo Kojima with this as my first game by him. Just playing this and seeing what he does, and, you know, not being afraid to just throw random goofy stuff in there. And I think that's what keeps it feeling fresh all the way through. And of course, there's stuff in there too that's like, there's no real logical reason that it should happen this way, but he did it anyway because it's fun, and that's what's most important. He just gets it. And I did buy Metal Gear Solid 5. That was also on the Steam sale. I'll give that a go. I've seen, you know, some funny stuff from that. But I can't wait to see what else he makes, and I can't wait for Death Stranding 2. But alas, I'm just going to be delivering stuff and fixing up the rest of the world and getting those 5 stars, but I will see you in the next one. Peace.